Hi, I'm Bill Bradley. Join me for a recent excerpt of American Voices. What would you do for freedom? We might think that in the face of threats of violence, we'd be brave. Maybe we would be. But most people want to be safe, want to survive, choose a safe option. That's why this next story is so amazing. In Afghanistan, when women ride bicycles, they are putting their honor and their lives in danger. Sarah Menzies is making a feature-length documentary directorial debut with the film Afghan Cycles, a film about women who are risking everything in order to join a cycling team and have the freedom to ride a bicycle. Think about those words, the freedom to ride a bicycle.
Since the fall of the Taliban, Afghan women have regained the right to work, travel, and take part in sports. But conservative attitudes persist.
Death threats, constant harassment, so predictable that the whole team trains in secret, dodging trucks and countless road hazards on the edge of town. The girls always in headscarves, full sleeves, and long pants, fighting the stubborn taboo.
Sarah, thanks so much for being here on American Voices. What an important story you have to tell.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.
So you went to Afghanistan to do a short film about women who ride bikes, and then the Taliban came to power. How did you change the narrative of your film?
That's right. I originally started this film in 2013 thinking that it would be a short. I thought it would be a cycling-centric film that could play in the festivals that had nurtured my early career, which is more on the adventure, outdoor industry type films. But very quickly, as I got to know the women and understand the conditions that they were riding within, I realized this was a much deeper story, and I needed to really dive in to contextualize why what they were doing was so brave. And then, over the course of the last 5 years, this story has taken so many different twists and turns. It's hard to answer simply how the narrative has changed because, the country has really slipped backwards over that time period. And these young women have really realized firsthand how dangerous it is to be riding there.
What kind of threats do they face if they continue to bike?
Anything from, sometimes they'll have people throwing rocks at them. Some of them have actually been run off the road and had landed in the hospital after a motorcycle ran them off the road. We're also in pretty, at least at that time, relatively safe areas, considering what the rest of the country is like, because in the more dangerous areas where the Taliban does have a stronghold, the thought of a woman on a bike is simply a death wish. So in Bamiyan and in Kabul over the last 5 years, it was much safer than, say, Kandahar or, places where the Taliban do have full control. Women just aren't even thinking of riding on a bike there.
And that Bamiyan Valley is a beautiful valley to bike in.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's really beautiful.
I was once there when they had the big Buddhas.
You were
carved into
there?
the mountain.
Wow.
Yeah. That tells you how old I am. Before the Taliban destroyed them.
Yeah. Oh, I'm jealous that you got to see those in real life. They just look stunning. And what an interesting history that valley has.
So you have a Taliban member in your film. He talks about how terrible he thinks it is for women to ride bicycles and how he wants to kill them. How did you get that footage?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you make of that?
Yeah, that was a lot of conversation with our team to decide if we wanted to include that. I do think it's important to hear from the boogeyman, as they say, that, actually understand what they're really up against, because these women really don't talk about it. At least they weren't talking about it until about 2015 when they were feeling those effects firsthand.
Right now, we are not that afraid of the average person because, thank God, they are Muslim. When they find out that we are girls, they don't disturb us. They know that everyone has sisters and mothers. We are afraid that the Taliban, God forbid, will one day come, block our way, and kidnap us. Even if we have to do it by losing our lives, we are obliged to finish it. We are famous. Even if we quit, people know us as the cycling girls. It is fine. Every accomplishment needs a sacrifice. In the beginning, some people sacrifice their lives so others can be comfortable. We might be the first sacrificers for cycling in Afghanistan.
There are occasions where men actually supported their effort to ride bicycles competitively, right?
Yeah, so that's another thing. These women, their fathers, their brothers, in one case, her husband, support this and they think it's great and they're doing everything they can to keep them going. Now, there's one or two women whose fathers don't do it, and so they're needing to do it a little bit more quietly, but mostly they've got the support, and it's a very progressive thought in a country like Afghanistan to have these fathers understand that, they want to support their daughters like that and give them that kind of freedoms.
Right, the bike riding is just a metaphor for the struggle within the country, and there are men as well as women on one side, and then of course there are more men and women on the other side.
Yeah. But some women though they don't want the girls riding either though. It's complicated. It really comes down to going against the grain. A lot of mothers just don't want their daughters to stick out from the crowd because that's when you draw attention to yourself, and Afghanistan's not a country that you want to be drawing attention to yourself in, unfortunately. Right. And I think of this film, and it's really turned into more of a coming of age story at this point. I think that's the first couple of years of our production. It was all, really positive, idealistic thinking that was saying we can ride. There's no problem. Some people might not like it, but it's going to shift. And so I think that by 2015, that's when things were actually going backwards, is the first time they realized maybe we can't control the future. Maybe our generation isn't going to change it, or at least maybe not yet. But like you said in the intro, it's giving them freedom and independence, and it's just the happiness that we've all felt when we get on a bike that they're working so hard for.
So what do the women do? Do they continue to ride, or did they decide to stop when all the death threats were coming their way?
I mean, some of the women at this point are, they've gotten off the bike because they have gotten married, or they're thinking about their careers, or maybe starting to have children. Plenty of them still do ride. And then others, the threats were just too much. And it got to a place where they were also, their family was being threatened. And so they'd gotten off the bike to try and save their family. And then as you see in the film, we watch as a couple of our characters actually seek asylum in other countries.
So tell us about Frozan and the decision she made. What an incredible story.
She is an amazing woman, and I still count my lucky stars that I met her just on a personal level. She's inspired me a lot. And she'd been getting threatened one time at gunpoint, and she wanted to save her family and save herself and be able to ride a bicycle freely, and safely. So she saw an opportunity when the team went to a training camp in France, and she took it, and it wasn't thought out. She didn't know the language, nothing was lined up. And so when she ran away from the airport,
When she ran away from the airport, give us a picture. What was going on?
She was looking at the team thinking, this is my chance. If I'm going to do this, this is my chance. I think they were kind of fussing with the bikes, or, they were checking things in. It was just a moment. Everyone was a little bit busy, and she just was watching from a distance and thought, no one's looking. I just need to go for it. And she went for it.
It was around 12 or 1 a.m. when we arrived in Paris. In that moment, I realized, Frozan, your life is not in danger anymore. That was the moment when I told myself, Frozan, this is the place where you could save yourself and your family. That's why I decided to leave the team. I decided the dreams of cycling that I had as a child, I left it all in order to protect my family's lives. And I made this decision. It was very difficult for me.
And she flagged down the first bus that came through, hopped on it. As she tells it, her heart rate was just pounding, and she was looking around and felt like everyone on the bus knew what she had just done, even though how could they? I think that's just the anxiety and the adrenaline that was pumping through her. She got off the bus, managed to get a cab, and in true Frozan fashion, she found a cab, let that cab go, and got a different cab that would give her a lower price, which I just think is a funny anecdote. I just love that even in all this craziness and not knowing the language, she was like, I'm not paying that much. And I was able to get another ride, which it's just more a testament to her character that I just love. And she had to try and get asylum in France.
And that's where she is now.
That's where she is now, yeah.
So you've said you're interested in people who are obsessed with something. What interests you about obsession? Why it's appealing to you?
Oh, that's interesting. I think just this deep passion. I can't think of something in my life that I would do anything for, that would take precedent over anything else in my life. But I've gotten to meet some people who have found that, that have that passion. Just thinking about, what do I really care about, and what would I risk it all to do? But I know when I say that, a lot of people say, well, it's your filmmaking, or, it's your work that you have that passion for. But I don't think it runs as deep as it does with a lot of these people that I've had the honor of profiling in films. So I think that's what draws me to them, that I wish I had something that I was that passionate about. And I want to learn where that comes from.
Sometimes your passion pops on you, right? And sometimes it sneaks up on you. And I think that these films you make are really your passion, and it's going to sneak up on you.
Oh, thank you. I don't know, though. This one took a lot out of me. Sometimes I wonder if I've got it in me to do it again. I'm sure I will. I just need a little break. It gets really exhausting.
Yeah, but you're in a constant graduating school, and then when you doubt what you're doing, or you doubt whether you want to do it again, just wait a couple of months, then look at the film, and you'll now know why you did it.
Oh, that's nice of you to say.
So, Sarah, so glad you were here to tell us about your important storytelling and filmmaking.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
I've been speaking with Sarah Menzies, director of the new feature film documentary called Afghan Cycles. To find out more about the film, visit us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/American Voices with Senator Bill Bradley. Thank you for listening to American Voices here on my YouTube channel. For more interviews celebrating the goodness and creativity of the American people, click the subscribe button below.